appreciate you all being here, and I will welcome you to the Thursday, June 5th meeting of the Asheboro City Council. We have just about a full house tonight, and we're pleased to have you here. Effective government is only as effective as the citizens that participate. So the first thing I'd like to do, I would like to have, and if I butcher this, I am so sorry, but I'm going to introduce an exchange student we have here. Ayame Kodamari, close enough? That's not a southern name. Stand up, please. Ayame is attending Southwest Randolph High School this year. She is from Okinawa, Japan. She came here last August. She'll complete this year and then return to Okinawa. And we are so pleased to have you at one of our council meetings, but even more so, we are pleased to have you in Asheboro. It's just wonderful that we can avail ourselves of opportunities like this, and I hope that your experience in Asheboro turns out to be everything you want it to be, everything you dreamed of, and that you go home with wonderful memories of Southwest Randolph High School and your time in Asheboro, Randolph County. So it's good to have you tonight. She is actually staying with Kathy and Gary Dreyer. Is that correct? They're the host family, and I know you're treating her to all the great things of Randolph County.
Well, I'm actually Shirley Simpson. I'm the community coordinator for our exchange student organization, International Exchange Student. It's called PAX, Program of Academic Exchange, and we bring students to the United States from over 70 different countries. But we're here to talk about Aya, and if I can toot her horn just a little bit, we bring in the top students, and she's definitely been that. She attended an awards ceremony on the 29th of May. She got the top grade in her chemistry class at Southwestern, and she got the top grade in her pottery class, ceramics class. And that's really important to know because that's what her dad does in Okinawa.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
So I think she deserves a round of applause.
Certainly our pleasure to have you here tonight. And thank you for that synopsis.
Sure.
You have other students lined up to come soon?
We hope so.
Well, if there's anything we as the city of Asheboro can do to help, we would be glad to try.
Out there, we're always looking for host families. It's a wonderful experience.
I'll bet. Okay, great. Now, I want to ask everyone to stand and join me in a moment of silent meditation. I invite you to pray or meditate in any manner that you are comfortable, and we will follow that with a pledge of allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a little bit of a bittersweet presentation to make here, and the truth is, I've asked Mayor Pro Tem Walker Moffitt to make the presentation simply because that's what the mayor pro tem does when the mayor is not up to it. But it's also, he is the chairman of the North Carolina Zoo Council, and which is pretty impressive that a Republican in a Democratic state can be appointed to a almost a lifetime position. But he does a great job for the zoo, and we have some zoo command staff with us tonight, and I'm gonna, would you like to go first, Diane? I'm gonna call on Diane Villa, who is interim director of the North Carolina Zoo, is that correct?
Deputy Director.
Deputy director.
Deputy Director, yes.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I knew I'd fall all over that. But it's good to have you and the rest of your team here tonight, so
Thank you, Mayor
have at
Smith.
it, please.
All right, on behalf of the zoo's executive team, Krista McGee, Rich Burgle, and myself, we are honored to accept this award for Director Pat Simmons. Due to her health, Pat is unable to attend in person with us tonight. We'd like to thank the City Council for their thoughtfulness during this difficult time. I know this award will bring a big smile to Pat, and she will be completely delighted by this award. 10 years ago, when Pat accepted the directorship at the North Carolina Zoo, she immediately developed a vision plan for the zoo, involving community leaders and elected officials. Many of you were involved in that process. Out of that came the plan to build Asia, which opens a year from now, and then Australia, planned to open in 2029. And we've got a whole lot more cooking on the back burners as well. Pat focused on many things at the zoo, including reinvigorating the guest experience with activities such as air hike and safari, guest favorites for sure, and substantially increasing our educational and wildlife conservation programs. Under Pat's leadership, the zoo's attendance rose from 680,000 in 2015 to over 1 million, as we've seen in the past 2 years. The zoo has been ranked the #1 zoo in the United States by Newsweek 2 years in a row, and we are so excited to be part of Zoo City, Asheboro. Thank you for welcoming us. If Pat were here tonight, she would say that the zoo and Zoo City are a powerful force for tourism and economic impact, and it will only get better. Pat's goal has always been to leave the zoo better than she found it, and I believe she has certainly done that. Again, thank you so much for this meaningful award for Pat, and thank you for your unwavering support of the North Carolina Zoo.
We are so sorry that she can't be here tonight. She is fighting some terrible health problems and is not leaving the house much these days. But I can tell you this, in the 10 years I've known Pat, if she were here tonight, she would make whatever comment she made with a big smile and a giggle.
She would have the loudest laugh in the room, for sure.
Absolutely, no question. She has done great things with the zoo.
She has.
And I'm calling on Mayor Pro Tem Walker Moffitt to make the presentation.
At this time, I'd like to invite the Deputy Director, Diane Villa, Dr. Rich Burgle, Krista McGee. I'd also like to introduce to the audience if Senator David Craven, would you please join us? County Commissioner Darrell Fry, would you please join us? And Adam Deeth from Chamber of Commerce, would you please join us? And the reason I'm especially proud to have everyone here, and I'm just saddened beyond words that Pat isn't able to join us for this. It's a very unfortunate situation, but the zoo is the North Carolina Zoo with the state representation located in Asheboro and in Randolph County. It's a laugh that when she first moved down here, from Ohio to get involved, and the first place I took her was to NASCAR Hall of Fame dinner. I said, we get you indoctrinated right, start with you, you know, and using her name, we got good paper. But she very quickly, brought a different level of recognition to the zoo that we had not experienced, as a tourist attraction. It's a world-renowned facility, as you're all aware of in so many ways, you know, but she brought it more to the people, for everyone to enjoy at every level, and for somebody to just meet her, you have to investigate to find out just how internationally traveled and renowned she is. It's really amazing what she's brought to the zoo aquarium world across the earth. But at this time, I'd like to present this, and Diane, I'll let you take this, and we'll try to get it to Pat.
We will.
And hopefully it is. And we're so proud for her to have the key to the city, and as we can note all her many, many achievements, and just regret she cannot be with us tonight. Thank you for all that.
You know, we have, in Randolph, an asset that nobody else, North Carolina has, and hardly anybody else in the world or in North America have the asset that we are, charged with, looking to and supporting. It's noteworthy tonight, and Mr. Moffett did actually introduce them because I didn't. But County Commission Chairman Fry was here, and Senator Dave Craven is here, and the newly appointed director of the Chamber of Commerce, Adam Deeth. They were all here, and if any of you have been, are closely associated or somewhat familiar even with the North Carolina Zoo, you recognize those three people as having a huge hand in the support and livelihood of that zoo and all the employees and the incredible economic engine that it has become for Randolph County. And on that note, I will say that numbers came out a couple weeks ago that showed there are probably only 2 counties in North Carolina that are increasing their retail sales right now, and Randolph is one of those. The rest are on the downhill slide. So we're fortunate to have an asset like that. And I tell people when I'm traveling, it's not just a zoo to visit once a year or whatever. It is a two-season zoo. And I mean that by saying the North American animals that we are all so familiar with are cold weather animals. So they're active during the cooler weathers. The African animals, the other side of the zoo, they're all African animals and are during the heat of the day and the heat of the summer, that kind of, they're in their prime, while the North American animals are all hiding in the shade. So you want to see all the animals at the zoo, you should go twice a year. You should put on a sweater and go in October or November when it's nice, pretty day, and take advantage of what we have here that nobody else around here has. So, that's my soapbox, and we will move on. Appreciate you indulging me with those personal comments. This is the appointed time at each meeting where we have a public comment period. And we invite people to stand before the council and address the council on any items of public concern or public business that they would like to discuss with the council. And is there, John, is there a sheet up there to sign?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I would ask that if you speak, that you print your name on this list. And the only purpose of that list is so that when we transcribe the videotape or the audio tape, that we can get your name right. Because we don't always know how to spell Smith or Jones. So, but have at it, sir.
My name's Topaz Bott. I live at 1080 Ann's Court. And I've been very troubled. It's a beautiful neighborhood. My wife and I moved here 2 years ago. Really love Asheboro. But there's been multiple occasions with explosions happening not 500 feet from my house. I have a $700,000 house. What's going on? I need some relief here. And I do understand that somehow that land that's just not even a stone's throw is county land, but there needs to be some release.
There actually does. Let me tell you what I know about it, if you will accept this. We have our police looking into it. I personally talked to the sheriff and one of the sheriff's majors last weekend. And it is happening outside the city limits. It is against the law to do that type of thing in the city limits. Mm-hmm. And if we can catch them, we'll charge them. But they are just outside the city limits, and best we can tell, they're over on Inwood or Browers Chapel, where all that land was cleared back in there behind Lowe's. And the police, the sheriff's department, the sheriff assured me that he would have his people on it, and the major called me within 30 minutes and said, we are trying to figure this out. We want to catch these people. Not only is it upsetting to you as a resident and a neighbor, and it's frightening when you hear an explosion like that. I was standing in my front yard when one went off 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And it is bad for your dogs and your cats and horses and any other domestic animals that happen to be in the area. And how many times have we seen dogs that run off during a 4th of July fireworks show, and they're not near as loud as that. Shook my house. It shook my yard, and I thought at first it was a earthquake. So we are on that. Our chief is here tonight, and he might be able to give you a little more information about what we're doing. And I have personally talked to the sheriff, and they are looking into it also. So we want to catch them.
We know exactly what you're talking about, because he and I live just as close as you do.
Okay.
And I was out of town this past Saturday evening. I was about 6 o'clock something in that neighborhood. Ruby Hunter started calling and texting me just as soon. Well, did you feel that one? No, not where I'm at. I didn't, but the one that you started 2 weeks ago. As I understand it, that is it tannerite? Am I saying?
Yes.
It appears to be tannerite, and we were.
It's exploding targets, and you make them out of ingredients. You don't just buy it, and that's how I think that's how this happened.
This also wasn't the first time.
No, it is
Oh,
not.
no. I've heard it multiple
But
times.
it is startling, to say the very least. I mean, it's just not a loud boom. It'll rattle. I mean,
A tannerite target made up for target shooting has to be set off with a gunshot.
Mm-hmm.
We, according to the sheriff's major, they had information to say that they set off a whole 5-pound bucket of it at one time. And, people in Ramshore felt it or heard it. So, yeah, it does not surprise me. And we are just as concerned as you are, and if we can catch them, we'll do what we can to make sure they don't do it again.
Well, if the problem is that is literally feet out of the city limits, there's a lot of construction on that road. I encourage incorporation.
That's not up to us. We don't have that authority anyway.
It's not pictorial, right? But everyone should be on the same boards and having meetings and the county meetings. And at the end of the day,
Should they request it, we would gladly accept them.
I'm pretty sure the owner of the property is not gonna request it.
But they have to. That's the only way we can do it.
The
By
state
law.
took
Okay.
away our authority to do, what they like to call forced annexation.
Understood, I did not know that.
About 5 years
We're
ago,
painfully aware of it.
about 10 years ago. And so we're not allowed to just go into a neighborhood and take it. Plus, we have to put water and sewer out there, and residential development doesn't always pay the freight for that. So we are working on it, sir.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Y'all can't leave.
We have work to do.
The zoo never closes. Happy birthday, Pat.
That clears up a mystery for me too. We've had 2 of those explosions. The last one, everybody came out of the house, all the neighbors, and everybody was just wondering what in the world happened. I didn't have any idea, so
I thought a bomb had dropped.
I can tell the neighbors that people are using explosive targets over on the other side of the hill over there. God, we didn't know what in the world that was.
I'm Marcia Cooper. I live on North Randolph Avenue, and I have some pictures I would like to pass. It's a visual.
All right, if you'll start them down here with Ms. Heath, she will look at them and pass them down individually.
We have a motor company on Salisbury Street, and he is from the last city council. And he's not allowed to park his cars in his vacant lot because it's residential. So he has decided to make Randolph County his commercial parking lot. We have
And that is
cars-
right across from your house.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm asking for no parking signs on North Randolph. I was thinking of having a 30-minute parking lot, but I was advised no parking lot because we don't have enough police force to be coming there every 30 minutes.
I feel for you. When we
There's gonna
denied
be
the rezoning on that residential lot, he immediately decided he could start parking on the street. And he's parking a bus out there and a car carrier and everything else.
Tractor trailer, one of the tractor trailers got stuck in our driveway. And,
And the truth is, he
Okay.
needs to be a better neighbor than that.
I have never seen, this has been happening since February. And I'm asking for a no parking on North Randolph.
Thank you.
There was children there, but, they moved out a couple of days ago. And I believe they were kind of, the mom, there was several children. The mom was scared that they were gonna get hit by a car. And,
Well, they're parked all the way down from the houses all the way to Salisbury. and bumper to
From
bumper
Worth.
with big, large vehicles like buses and trucks, and the kids could very easily run in and out
Yeah,
and not be seen.
they play soccer ball, and it goes out in the street, and they're like 4 years old, and they run after the soccer ball.
You certainly don't want Jack chasing a soccer ball out there.
Yeah.
I'm grateful he can walk with a cane.
Unfortunately, our action to try to protect the neighborhood probably had an unintended consequence, so I guess we need to continue on with our actions to clean this up. Is that, let's see, last time we done one of those, had the city engineer do the study or put together the packet, is that what we?
I think that's what we did over there.
That's what we did on Rich Avenue, we've done, there's precedent for it.
That one tractor trailer is parked just a few inches away from Salisbury Street. And I don't know how he gets out without backing into Salisbury and coming through.
Well, we clearly need to
This-
restrict the parking from Salisbury Street corner back some determined distance. Our engineers will help us with this, I would think. And,
Thank you.
you know, if the problem,
It's a
if the
problem.
situation were to move somewhere else, then we can always revisit the signage.
Wait, you need to come to the microphone if you're on speak. All right, Marcia, you have anything else?
Just no parking.
We're gonna,
We'll look into it.
we'll look into that, see what we
Oh, I
can do.
appreciate it.
We know there's a problem there.
Come on up, Pam.
I just wanted to say respectfully, as a member of planning and zoning and having heard this issue in the past, they were parked out there long before planning and zoning heard this and long before this request prior. They've been parked out there all year in addition to using the vacant lot. And then, you know, it's just added to it. But you cannot, I'm also a resident of the Greystone area and use that intersection. There's no stoplight there. You can't see to pull out.
Right.
And then there are children and pets and other things going on, and it's just a very bad place to have cars all the way up to the intersection. And it was going on prior to any decisions that were made. So it's not anything new in regards to the decision that the council made the other week.
No, they've been parking on that lot against the zoning rules for
Right.
years.
And on the street.
Uh,
And they put the larger vehicles on the street, not the smaller ones either. So it's very hard to see over the buses and the mini, I mean, they even have tow trucks and all kinds of things parked out
Buses.
there. Buses, yes, they've got a mini bus out there that's been there for a couple
we'll,
of weeks.
we'll see what we can do to fix that.
Thank you.
You gonna
Glad
let
the
me know?
business is doing well, but obviously, clearly, they've outgrown that location.
Regardless of what we did, I think there's a state statute, you can't park within 25 feet of the intersection. So
Thank you.
it should be at least 25 feet from the intersection there in Salisbury.
I'm done.
Okay. Thank you, Marcy.
I don't have nothing to add to that, but it is kind of, the only thing I worry about, you go down there, and I'm sitting on the front porch and the back porch most of my life now, and, there's cars coming around there off of Salisbury pretty fast sometime, you know, making that curve, and I'm just so afraid that they're gonna hit somebody and somebody's gonna get hurt. And that's all concern I got about it. They can park there all day if they want to otherwise, but
You're about to get in trouble here. You need to stop right there.
I got a couple neighbors, do you wanna hear from them? Couple neighbors are here.
If they would like to speak, we'd be glad to hear them.
This is Karen Hendricks.
I would encourage you to not say the same thing
I'm not.
that she said, but you go ahead and tell us what you want us to know.
I was taking my sister to the doctor, coming back from the doctor, turning into off of Salisbury onto Randolph, and there was a car parked coming out, and I was wanting to come in. I didn't have any space at all. It's like y'all said, there's supposed to be a certain amount of distance between Salisbury, and there wasn't. And so all the people behind me were blowing their horn because I was waiting for the guy to, he was, of course, going straight, and he couldn't go. And so, I don't know. It's just constant. It's constant. And we're just tired of it.
I've noticed it start up in earnest right after the zoning case. And it bothers me that he's not a better neighbor than that. And you put this in the paper. It appears that he does not care about his neighbors.
Yeah, I mean, it can get really dangerous because people see that where you can turn and get in that other lane to turn on Martin Luther. You know, they think, well, I'll just get in that lane and go around. Well, that's going to lead to an accident too. So with the people trying to come out.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Dr. Charles Edgerton, and I only use the doctor when I'm in front of important people like you all. So don't usually use the term doctor. But I'm here to offer some announcements on behalf of the Asheboro-Randolph branch of the NAACP. And they're coming up on Juneteenth. And many of you know the holiday that celebrates the end of slavery in America, which starts next week on the 19th. And I just wanted to tell you about 3 events that are going on. And I'm sorry I don't have a handout to give to you for those, but we can try to email it maybe so that you can have more details on each of the events. And I know that, Mr. Mayor, you've been involved.
If you can get that to the secretary downstairs.
Okay.
She will make sure the council.
Okay. Okay. We'll get it out. I wanted to just announce what the 3 events are. On Thursday the 19th, starting at 10 a.m., there'll be an opening ceremony of the Slave Memorial. And how many of you have seen the Slave Memorial? You've seen it. The banner, the 100 feet wide, 6 feet high banner that has over 1,200 names of people who were enslaved in Randolph County, which were taken right out of our deeds office, directly out of our deeds office. And it's an effort to remember their names and to honor them, especially on Juneteenth when slavery ended in 1865. So that ceremony is kind of important. I think there'll be an honor guard there. I believe the mayor will be there. That's at 10 o'clock on Thursday the 19th in front of the old courthouse. And for all 3 of these events, for 3 days, the Slave Memorial will be up for anyone to come see.
At the historic courthouse.
At the historic courthouse, thank you. Yes, the historic courthouse. On Friday, there's something new. Friday the 20th, we are having a Civil Rights Medal of Freedom ceremony at 6 p.m. And it will also be right there in front of the old courthouse. And this is something Chip Faust, and you all know Chip Faust, and I can tell you Chip was reelected as president just recently, so we're very proud that he will serve again as president. But this is to honor men and women, brave men and women of Randolph County who marched, sat in, and stood up for justice during the civil rights movement of the 1960s. So many of them have passed on at this point, but we're trying to gather up folks that are still with us that we can honor, and we'll be offering them a Medal of Freedom in many ways the way that's done in the White House, the same kind of a ceremony for them, to honor them. And that's, again, in front of the courthouse on Friday the 20th at 6 p.m. On Saturday, we'll have a march, and the march will go from Greater St. John Baptist Church up to the courthouse. And if any of you have been part of that, it's pretty moving and amazing because as we march, we call out the names of these enslaved ancestors. So we have these 1,200 names, and we call out their names as we march. And once we arrive at the memorial, there are some events, some music and some things that will happen there. But that starts at the Greater St. John Baptist Church at 10 a.m. on the 21st. Also that same day, the Girl Scouts will be celebrating Heroes at 1:30 p.m. And that will be a day of learning and inspiration to honor the women of Randolph County who helped to lead the civil rights movement. So these living legends will share their stories of courage, resilience, and change, offering today's young leaders a glimpse into the fight for justice and equality. That's going to be at the Sunset Theater at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday the 21st. This is new too, and we're very, very honored that the Girl Scouts are joining with us in this. And then the last thing to say is that on that Saturday night, there'll be the African Heritage Ball at 6 p.m., which will be at the George Washington Carver Center. So that's a celebration and a dance and a fun time that evening on that Saturday. I think, what day is that? The 21st, yes. So we hope you all come. We wanted to extend to you a personal invitation to the whole city council to come out for any one of those or all of them. It's very important to us. The work we've been doing, especially with this memorial, means a lot to us. And I think it means a lot to our county, to our city, that we're doing this and that this is known, that we know about our history, because how can we move forward without knowing our history like that? So I better write my name down here. Right. So thank you very much.
Might not be able to spell that one.
I hope you can. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else in the audience who would like to address council tonight?
Evening, council.
Mr. Skeen.
I recently had breakfast with a guy from Iowa, and they call them supervisors out there on the board. And we were talking about different things, and he said, we have a group out there we call the Cave Group. I said, well, that's interesting. What is that? He said, it's Citizens Against Virtually Everything. Thought appropriately named. I read the packet that's for tonight, and I'm encouraged to see the water and sewer moving right along. I really am. Thank you. That's kind of near to my heart. And also the street paving. Thank you very much. And I'd like to address that for about 200 feet of it. If we could take it from one place and put it on Sunset Avenue and dig that up and start over. Here we are, the nation's top zoo. Downtown Asheboro is doing what they can. The retail's good. And the streets are wagon roads. And I know there's a problem up there with the substructure, probably. For some reason or other, otherwise it's caving in, what have you. But that would be one of my things I'd like to see addressed for downtown Asheboro and work from there. And secondly, Juneteenth. It's a bigger holiday. That's my birthday, so I didn't realize it'd be a national holiday for my June 19th birthday. But thank you for that.
Charles, can you change the date of that?
No, we can't.
Okay, well, we tried. So hopefully we can see that. I'm encouraged by what's going on, new management. I'm encouraged to see that and the board members, and we've got an election coming up. Might be a different flavor to that one day, and I hope to be a part of that one day too. So thank you for this time, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Skeen. Anybody else? All right.
Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Before we proceed, just the Randolph Avenue issue. So Councilmember Bell mentioned that there's a statute on the books that we could enforce. That could happen tomorrow, right?
Yeah, it's called the site triangle. It's based on the speed limit, how far back you have to have based on oncoming traffic obstructions. It could be vehicles, hedges, you name it. And right now, I think they do meet that. There have been times it has been violated.
Okay.
Witness. So I think the other thing we're gonna do is check tags, tires, and make sure there's vehicles that are licensed and registered and not abandoned vehicles sitting there in the street. Even though they may be working on them, they still have to be titled That's also part of our ordinance, so we can work on that.
Okay, excellent. We've just had conversations about ordinances being on the books and just being good about enforcing them, so.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just hopeful that something could happen tomorrow, if possible. If they're in violation.
Yeah. 25 feet sounds like a lot, but it really isn't.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to item 5, under old business. 5A is legislative hearing, case number RZ 25-08. Request to apply City of Asheboro high-density residential conditional zoning for property located on Crestview Church Road, approximately 1,100 feet southwest of Zoo Parkway, and that has been withdrawn by the applicant. Do I need you to stand up and tell me that?
No, sir, unless there are any questions, but it hasn't been withdrawn.
Okay, we're good. Item 5B, open a public hearing for the annexation petition submitted by Mark Braswell for property located along Crestview Church Road. And this applicant has withdrawn the annexation petition. And so we're good. Moving to new business. I'll open a public hearing on the proposed operating budget for fiscal year 25-26.
Do we have the clicker, or?
Oh, yes, sir.
Bar that?
Don, you can't have the clicker.
Up forward.
Revoke your liquor privileges.
So, good evening, council. I want to say, first, let me say thank you to all the staff. There was a lot of hours put in by staff trying to deliver to you the needs. And then I also want to thank council for your participation in the workshop and in follow-up meetings with everyone. There's been a lot of input put on this, and special thanks to Ms. Debbie Reeves and the finance team. They helped me quite a bit, because coming into this role at this time of the year is probably the worst thing you can do, because you're trying to learn everybody and budget at the same time. So it's a flood of information, and I do appreciate it, all the work that's getting done for that. Long story short, your general fund is a $50 million budget this year, and we'll talk about how that's broken down. But the main thing is the budget's increased about $2 million over last year, and most of that is due to personnel expenses. We're going to do a base pay increase for every employee of $2,000, except for fire and police. We're going to do $3,000 because that's where our biggest deficit is in trying to recruit and keep good talent. And developing talented police officers, public safety is very important. And to that note, if you look at your total budget in general fund, half of your budget goes to public safety. Police and fire are 48%, and then what we call mitigation departments, building inspections and fire inspections, those that are out there trying to prevent things from happening, equal about $25 million. So essentially 50% of your budget goes into public safety. In general government, one of the things I wanted to share with you is in business, especially in manufacturing, you try to get your overhead as low as possible, and our overhead is people like me and the finance officer and the legal team, as well as information technology and planning and development and fleet maintenance, because we're the people in human resources that make sure if we do our job, everybody else gets to do their job. So that's referred to in the private sector as the overhead. Your overhead is only 1.24%. So you're well below that, and that's fantastic. And I'm really proud of that we keep it that low. Let's see, this is a sensitive clicker. Some of the other things we do are transportation related, and so it's wonderful to have a city that has an airport. This is a photograph just from this week. We were doing a military refueling, but we also plow streets, right, in the wintertime. And so our transportation costs for us are right at $7 million this year and going to continue to increase. That also includes engineering in that department as well for all of the things that we do here in the city. And because we do all that, that allows you to have culture and recreation. The City of Asheboro prides itself on its culture and recreation services, whether it's sports, having downtown venues, Christmas, which we all enjoy here, and you guys do a great job. But most importantly, the big number there is maintenance, facilities maintenance. You have, as you saw in the budget presentations earlier, you have over 500,000 square feet to maintain. We mow over 300 acres, and the city owns over 2,100 acres of property. There's a lot to do, and we do a very good job of that. Water and sewer fund, that's the next big thing. As you know, we have a great, huge water sewer system. We have over 100 miles of street, and underneath that is over 280 miles of water line and almost 250 miles of sewer line, and that has to be maintained. You have a wastewater treatment plant and a water treatment plant, and those are expensive capital items, and they have served us well. They're many decades old, and your forefathers did a great investment there, but we have to keep them up. So this year, we're proposing some budget increases in that and for capital investments. So the total budget for water and sewer this year is $25 million, bringing your total budget to $75 million this year. Some of the major water and sewer projects are pump stations. We're going to add pump station number 29 and 30 this year. Importantly, the chairman is gone, but we're going to do the Ag Center pump station. And we have a big pump station that we're talking about it near the James River Tractor Supply place. Additional raw water pump at Lake Reese. PFAS, that's kind of the hot button right now. Everybody's talking about it. If you've seen, there's a new class action lawsuit for PFAS for AAA foam for firefighters. So that's going to be a huge undertaking, a new environmental standard we're going to meet, and we need to study that. We get new technology that comes out every day, and do we invest in the latest and greatest thing, or we try to see what's going to be the best thing to do for our area? Lake Bunch intake repair, that's an emergency backup water supply for us. It has been on the books for a long time. We need to get that fixed. Water plant moisture barrier, we want to protect the water plant and make sure we don't have any further damage out there. Wastewater treatment plant rehab, primary sales. So the total rehab, the wastewater treatment plant is north of $80 million. You're going to invest about $2 million this year at the wastewater treatment plant, and that's going to be important. Wastewater treatment plant valves in the main pump station, you all saw those valves and pumps wouldn't fit through that door. And so it's not just something we can go and unbolt and put a new one in. It's going to take a specialized contractor that knows what they're doing, and we have to pump all that wastewater around the end of the plant so we can do those one at a time. A very labor-intensive project. Slip lining are cured in place. So this is, we talked about the 250 miles of sewer line in the city. A lot of it is vitrified clay pipe. Lasts a long time, but it's short sections and it moves. Right as the ground moves, it moves. And so we're going to try to rehab all of that, or as much as we can. It'll be $500,000 worth this year. In order to do that, we got to find out where it's leaking the most, and we got to smoke test. So you'll see smoke coming up out of the ground this year. It's going to be fun. Don't be scared. Just call somebody. We'll let the neighborhoods know, but sure as heck, somebody will find something, and we'll be there doing that. Just a comparison, so you can see, this is all of the other municipalities and water systems in our water basin, the deep watershed. And as a comparison, you have some of the lowest rates in that area right now. Our average bill is around $60 a month. We're still on the lower side. But the thing you should be worried about is the bottom left-hand corner dial there. That means we're not making enough money to pay for the needs in the water system. That's basically what that says, long and short. So everybody likes to look at dials. This is the quickest way to describe what we're doing. And we're still very affordable looking at the median income for our area. This is based on the average water and sewer bill in the household, so I think we're still well below market in our area. And I can go into more detail on each of those if we need to. This is a great dashboard that the North Carolina School of Government puts together for us every year. And you can do all kinds of comparison. You can look at watershed, you can look at like-sized cities, you can look at all the public utilities in the state and do comparison numbers. And we're very good rates, more than low, but we're not covering our costs, and we need to be doing that. We need to be up there closer to that where it turns green there, about 1.2%. That's where you need to go. Your staff worked with a contractor called Waterworth and put together a fantastic piece of artwork here that shows with the proposed rate increases that we're going to be cash flow positive, and we can meet most of our debt needs. We can't meet it all, but we'll be able to meet most of our needs right now, all the way out to 2038. Just some comparisons. Archdale has announced a 7% rate increase. Unless something's changed, this is the latest information I have from last week. Their average bill will increase to $88 a month. Town of Liberty, announced an 8.3% rate increase. Their average bill increased to $94 a month. Asheboro, consultant recommended a rate increase of 14%. We asked council to look at that and do a little bit different and do a 5% rate increase plus a 5% capital charge, and then change our rate structure where there's no free water allowed, and eliminating the leachate rate. Guys may or may not have known that we had a leachate rate for the landfill that was 1/3 what it cost us to treat it. Thomasville's estimated bill today without their rate increases is $73.89. Lexington's estimated bill without any rate increases is $73.75, and we use those because they're a peer-sized city. They have a similar number of customers in our region. They're not in our basin. It's better to compare within your basin, but they're close enough to us that we can show, hey, this is what it's costing. Even with these rate increases we're proposing, we're still going to be well below them, the average bill. So I think we're being more than fair to our customers and still meeting our demands and our needs. If you do your rate increases, this gets you to the 1.13. That's getting us closer to that 1.12. That's the main thing here. So you can play with this dashboard and you can program in different rates. And so we did the highest rate increase we could imagine, and we're still competitive in the area in pricing, and this will help us meet our debt service needs as well as our capital needs for the future. And I'll try to answer any questions you may have. That was really quick to go over $75 million. But I didn't want to bore council because they've seen this a couple times already. And I'll try to answer any questions you may have.
Well, Don, the one thing that we did ask is the comparative rates of sort of our local cities, and I think you certainly addressed that in this presentation.
Yeah, it's harder to pick the cities that just buy. You want to pick those that also produce water. And so, because it's not a fair comparison, because they're paying a higher rate to buy, but they also don't have that higher expense to treat. So it's, I did the best comparisons I could for our region. And we can get into the details. I can pull up the link and we can go in through all the minutia you want to go. Now, remember, the proposed rates that everybody's talking about are not in there yet. So it's best guess based on the math that we have. But those numbers that I had came from their other managers. And now, what their boards approve may be different, but that's what was proposed.
Well, I think your comparables are good, and with the light possible exception of Archdale, everything else is an equally or more aging system, and that's what's addressing a lot of our costs.
That's a good point, yes, sir.
You know, I mean, they still got cast lines and Liberty in there with lead open joints and stuff. I mean, and that's a problem to replace all that. But I think you pick good comparables. I think we're staying very competitive. It's unfortunate to have to raise anytime anything, but if we don't cover our costs, we won't be here.
And I think another thing to bring up here is that one of the focuses is efficiencies in our system. We talked about our water loss rate. We talked about I&I at the budget workshop. That's going to be our primary focus. As we repair these systems, we're also going to gain significant efficiencies, and that will help keep the rates stable longer.
Well, every foot of sewer line that you fix with that smoke test and the slip line it, you just got a free increase in capacity at the sewer plant.
Amen.
We can get, if we'll fix all the lines and manholes, you mentioned the manholes, but we can have a 50% larger sewer plant for nothing.
Yes, sir. It is free capacity.
Sewer plant expense, I mean,
Yeah, well, I agree with that. Yes, sir.
I have some questions. I agree with you about the water situation. I don't think we have any choice but to raise rates some. Concerning the general fund, I'm confused about the situation with the nonprofits. What are we, I thought we were supposed to have a meeting and go over that. So where are we at there then?
Yes, sir. So your nonprofit funding is, what I propose is a cap. And then they have submitted applications to the finance department. And then at any time during the budget year, you can fund the ones that y'all choose to fund. You can give them what they ask for. You can give them a compromise number, but you have a cap of $250,000. I'm going to get this wrong. I think our total applications this year were over 718,000. So that's a large amount. Nonprofits are facing the pinch just as we all are. So you get to make that decision anytime. You don't have to make it today. You have a pool of money, and you guys get to decide how you want to spend it.
So you're putting like 250,000 in the nonprofit.
Correct.
General fund, and at some point in time, we will decide how we spend that money.
Yes, yes, sir. Y'all will work together to give me the best way you want to invest that money in the community.
Okay. Let me also ask you about, I've expressed my concern to you about the situation of this legal action we're taking against the DEQ. Is my understanding we spent $200,000 in legal fees, attorney fees last year. Is that right? Was that figure correct?
I think that's the number I heard. I'd have to ask Jeff to confirm it.
We'd have to look at the numbers. I don't have those in front of us.
I think that was the number that was discussed. Don't quote us on that one. We'd have to pull it out. And I'm not sure if that's just us or was that combined effort?
There was more than that if you took it combined.
Okay, well, we were originally told that Greensboro was going to pick up most of the tab on this. Of course, I was never told how much Greensboro was going to pay, how much Asheboro was going to pay, this type of thing. And it's my understanding in this new budget, you've put 50,000 in for attorney fees. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we put, we spread legal fees out for each department, but specific to that, about $50,000.
Okay, and then also what you told me was that you don't have any idea how much actual the legal fees are going to cost, attorney fees are going to cost, right?
No, sir. You just, long-term, significant litigation like this, it costs what it costs, right? And you're not defending the city, you're defending your right to do your job.
Okay, well, I mean, so we could be spending like $1 million on attorney fees, is that, I mean, that's.
No, I
possible?
think that would be unreasonable.
Okay.
And of course, council will be approving those actions when we take them. We'll have probably multiple executive sessions over the coming years because these legal cases don't happen overnight. So there'll be several shots at that.
That's what concerns me. The way I understand it, we're just beginning the appeals process now. And so, I mean, this thing could drag up for years and we'd be paying attorney's fees for years. And I never understood exactly what we're going to end up in the end, except my big attorney fees. So it really concerns me. And in fact, the whole thing's concerned me. I'm not sure this is really legal. I don't remember the city council ever approving to start litigations against the DEQ. I don't remember city council ever doing that. I don't know who started that. Who is the person who filed the petition and swore on this? Who did that?
The city initiated the appeal because we were in the position of having to deal with the permit that was issued. The city council did approve the retention of the law firm that's handling litigation. That was voted on in open session.
The city council approved retention of the law firm to take
been
legal action?
highly approved, yes.
Okay, well, I learned about it from reading the newspaper. I guess I was asleep or something.
It was brought before the city council for a vote.
I was here?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't remember that at all.
We didn't talk dollars, we just talked lawyer.
And,
Hired him.
and when did we approve spending $200,000 for attorney fees? When did the city council approve that?
It was approved as a retainer agreement and the fee agreement that's stated in there. You don't get to set, it's not a flat fee legal service.
So I could not find it in last year's budget, and I don't even see where is the 50,000 included in this 232,000 for legal fees? Is that included in that?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, my opinion of this, the DEQ is a state agency that's charged with keeping our water clean and safe. I don't see why we are not working to do that, getting everybody together, the people putting this stuff in the water and the DEQ and us, and working on this without taking this action to court. Seems like to me we're just wasting a whole bunch of money, and we need this money so desperately for all this infrastructure we need to complete in Asheboro. So I just totally disagree with this
The
policy.
issue, Bill, is that they have imposed a rule without following their own rules, and that's what the litigation is about, is that they follow the rules in setting what we are supposed to follow. And they just picked a number arbitrarily, and the litigation is for them to follow the rules.
In dealing with a state agency, as I have for 40 years, especially DENR or DEQ, if you break a law in these United States, help me here, you are innocent until proven guilty, and you will be tried, judged, adjudicated, I believe is the term, and you'll be penalized or not, or set free or whatever. If you violate a regulation by one of these state departments, you are guilty until proven innocent, and you had to pay that fine up front if you don't get some relief in the justice system to stay that. And it can be humongous numbers, $25,000 a day.
What?
The unchecked power of some of those regulators and interpretations of those regulations is very far-reaching, and if you don't take this kind of action, they will break you.
Well, haven't we been under provisional license for our wastewater plant for like 11 years?
We've been under a permit, and we've been in compliance with the
Provisional permit.
And we're under a permit right now. There's no adding to it. The court has signed off on the permit that we're operating under. And in every legal action the city has engaged in with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and to this point, the city position has stood up to scrutiny.
Has stood up to what?
The scrutiny. It's been upheld. We're not the ones who went to Wake County Superior Court. DEQ did because they lost when they confronted the city in the Office of Administrative Hearings.
Well,
There was a favorable decision for the
If we
city of
lose, we'll
Asheboro.
appeal it, so I mean, that's the way, but I don't understand, I thought that we'd been under provisional, license for years, and the DEQ could have fined us, or they didn't fine us for not having our, because they know, I mean, from my business study, most every water treatment plant in North Carolina has problems in treating this stuff, you know, and so I don't know why Asheboro's been picked out to get all this
We
attention.
respond to the legal notices that we receive, and we take the appropriate action in court.
Well, I just think this thing, also, I think that we need to have this, that the citizens of Asheboro pay taxes, need to know where their money's going. And I think this needs to be out. If we're doing the right thing, we need to talk about it, and I requested a hearing on this whole situation, because obviously I'm not up to speed on it, because I don't ever remember, like I said, taking any legal action against the DEQ. So, but of course, I didn't get the hearing, you know, and so that's, it's really concerns me, and the money, attorney's fee seems to be no end, and I mean, spending all this attorney fee money, well, I think that we could work things out with the DEQ, I mean, it just, to me, seems like a waste of money. That's my opinion.
How would you propose we work these things out?
Well, don't we have contact with the DEQ all the time? Don't they have like inspectors up at our water treatment plant taking sample waters and all that? Doesn't that happen all the time?
We self-test and report, then they regulate.
Okay. Well, I think they would work with us, you know, I mean, they know our problem. Every city has this problem, and the wastewater treatment plant is getting rid of these chemicals that are, you know, they're forever chemicals, and the state as a whole is going to have to do something about that.
Well, I think what Clark was trying to say is if you want to just use DEQ, or if you want to try to determine a person, enforce, well, let's just say proposed regulation. It'd be the same as if a police officer just decided to stop you because he thinks the speed limit ought to be 35, and then gives you a ticket for it, and there wasn't no speed limit.
But there are all kind of environmental laws setting standards of how much, you know, illegal stuff or whatever bad stuff you put in waters, and how much you can put in the air. I mean, there's all kind of standards like that. I mean, I don't know why.
Not all are regulated. There are unregulated contaminants. That is a genuine term. Whether that's a good idea or a bad idea. Am I speaking incorrectly, Mr. Manager?
No, you'd be correct, sir. I
They'd
think
be, you know, and they can't enforce a penalty and a regulation on an unregulated. They have to have standing. They have to have a law. They have to have
Well,
something.
I think they were under orders at the time when this happened from the EPA to start regulating the large amounts of discharge of this, dioxin into the water. Because it's pretty good.
How'd they lose in court?
Well, that.
All right,
They have not prevailed.
Kind of ways of losing in court, but,
we're gonna stop this conversation right here.
okay, well, that's
We
my
have-
feeling.
we are
I have the right to
dangerously
express
close
my
to-
feelings. That's what I'm.
To violating our attorney-client privilege. We are talking about some things that we've been asked not to talk about publicly. We have had closed session meetings where these questions have been answered. this is not the appropriate forum. So,
We also have the responsibility to spend Asheboro City taxpayer money properly and let the taxpayers know how to
If we
spend
know
the
what
money.
we're
We
talking
have that
about.
responsibility too.
Bill, if we know what we're talking about, and
So
at
spending
this
money,
point, we
don't know what
don't,
we're talking about. Okay, that's, okay.
this is ridiculous. So we're gonna move on.
Mr. Mayor, I just got a couple of comments I want to share. I promise it won't be long. I think it's important to note, as the city manager told us in the meeting, the property tax remains the same. There is not an increase. I don't think that was stated earlier.
Thank you.
I think that, I think we are all learning, citizens, council, everybody, the condition of our water and sewer department. I think some of it has been sort of out of the control of the city, but I also think the can has been kicked down the road, which we all agree over the years. And with that in mind, I don't think we need to try to recoup everything immediately as the 1st of July. So I would propose that we do the 5% consumption rate, and we do away with the free water, and then consider these the other items at a later date. So, I mean, it didn't happen overnight. I don't think it's fair to put it on the taxpayers. I'm not saying they're doing that, but I understand. I think we need to do take progressive steps over a period of time than all in one time. That's all I'm saying.
I have a question, I'm not disagreeing, I got a question on the list you just said. The eliminate the leachate rate, are you saying leave that in there? Or
No, I'm talking
continue
about,
over that?
I'm talking about the area that the 150 cubic feet are included at every monthly bill.
You're talking about the residential.
The residential
water
rate,
reference.
resident, yes, that's what I'm talking
I
about.
want to be sure.
Yeah, those two
That
things.
leachate thing is.
No, I wasn't touching that. No, but I was just saying because, you know, the cap rate, I think there'll be some confusion about that, and I think we need to educate or at least let people have time to understand what that's for, and the intent of it, instead of just a $5 charge more a month, that type of thing. But the consumption is fair all around because everybody uses a different amount of water, you know, and I think that's, you know, and I think, going to eliminating the free water, as it's called on our budget would be the other thing. And, that's what I'd like to share. That's it.
I agree with that. I mean, it would be nice to just kind of ramp up to give us an opportunity to do some additional education and communication
Well, people
with
need to
our
yeah,
residents.
Because we've heard we've heard about it, and I know some people that fought in the paper's done a good job of explaining it, but people need to understand, first off, we're not alone. But secondly, it's our problem and nobody else's, so we need to get it fixed. And I think with the budget that Mr. Duncan has submitted, it is addressing a lot of these concerns. But it's going to be a longer process and not solved with the full increase here. But I think it's safe to say we'll have to have some type of incremental increase going forward with the water. And people need to understand that the tax rate goes to the general fund, and the water is separate, and it's got to carry itself through the billings and everything. So that's my two
Donald,
cents.
could you speak to the subject matter, because it's almost talks in a circle and makes no sense, and I do that so much, they need to hear it from you.
I'm guilty of the same, yes, sir.
The rate is a factor, that we have no water and sewer debt's a factor, then you can't borrow money because of, you don't owe enough.
Correct, you do not get preferred.
Which has a lot to do with this capital thing.
Right. And I understand.
I know you understand.
Yeah, but I think.
I want him to say it
Yeah.
out loud so the press and everybody else understands, because it don't make no sense.
Yeah.
So, our state, was very wise many years ago, and they put in a system of equitable, low-interest loans and grants. And so the higher the homeowner's bill was, or the worse your system was maintained, the more points you got to get eligible for low-interest loans and grants for your water sewer system. So, in effect, it encouraged bad management of water and sewer. So those cities and counties and authorities that did a very good job and stayed on their rates, stayed on top of their maintenance, and managed their systems well, like y'all have done, was not eligible for cheap, low-interest money and grants. So it is a conflict that that encourages bad management of water sewer system. That's not the intent, right? That was not the goal of it. And there are some systems that only survive on that state money. And so, as your bill increases and you actually become more and more eligible, that's one of the categories that you can use. I know it sounds strange, but that's the way it works. It is an inverse formula.
Which, that is why we gotta get some capital money from somewhere. We can't borrow it because we don't owe any. Usually you go to the bank, you done borrowed too much, you don't need another loan. So it's,
Yeah, well said.
it's government accounting, but that's why there's a difference between gas and gas, isn't it, Debbie?
So you're saying it's basically the inverse of what I had to go through to buy the house
Yep.
last year?
Yeah. So the worse your credit rating is, the more money you get.
If you had a rundown house, they'd loan you $3 million on it. If you have a nice house about paid for, they wouldn't give you a home equity loan.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it's a strange system.
See, I can't explain it.
We're gonna vote on approving the budget.
Yeah.
Any other questions about the budget?
Yeah, I just think he was making a comment.
We need to take some formal action on Kelly and Joey's.
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Mayor, just to make sure, since it is a public hearing, to see if there's anyone else in the audience.
Thank you, Jeff.
Oops. It's a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the council on the proposed 25-26 budget?
May I say a word?
Well, somebody should. This rush of citizen interest is overwhelming.
I'm not a caveman. You know, water and sewer is kind of dear to my heart, and I put some thought to this and educating the people about our water and what they have. When I was raised, two things you did: turn the lights off and don't waste the water. I live by that today. My wife heats our house with our light bill, but anyway.
I resemble that.
I got to thinking,
You're not in charge.
you know, I'm gonna use round numbers. Gas is $3 a gallon. Milk's $5, I think. I don't buy groceries. And then we go out and we buy a pint of water for $1.29.
Amen.
Factor that out, that's $9 a gallon we're paying for water. And according to Mr. Roney, if things change, our water cost us 0.007 cents a gallon. I'm not sure our citizens understand what a deal they're getting. They don't hesitate at all to go buy that $9 a gallon water. But you get that $60 light or water bill and it's like, holy moly. I just got one because I've been watering my new yard. I said, holy moly, what much water did I use here? I didn't realize it, yeah. But I thought that was an example. People don't think about what they're spending and what a bargain water is. And we all know that water's like gold. That's a heck of a price for an ounce of gold. So in educating our public, maybe that could be somehow emphasized what a deal we're getting on water. And even if it goes to a penny a gallon, you know, cut back on your showers, cut back on your water usage.
If water's gold, sewer's platinum.
Exactly, yeah.
Fair enough.
That's what costs the money.
Yeah.
You can produce and deliver the water. That's why these counties have all these spaghetti lines running everywhere with county water systems.
Yeah.
You don't see no county sewer systems run all over.
No, you don't. Well, those pumping stations are expensive. But that's just a thought I had, what we unconsciously spend for water, and then we have a fuss over what our water costs every month. So just a thought. Thank you.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Skeen. Anyone else?
I'd like to say something, not as a matter of prolonging this public hearing, but I think Asheboro, the past leadership for generations has put y'all in a tremendous position. You have 5 lakes. You have almost, and I say almost, unlimited water capacity. There are not many communities can say that. It is absolutely incredible. And so we stand on the shoulders of people that were great thinkers and wonderful doers. And so what you're doing is protecting that asset that they gave you, and your legacy. And I'll hush.
Don't paint the house, it'll rot down.
Anyone else? Anybody on council?
And just looking at this, and I don't know what Siler City is, but I have a close connection there since that's where my wife's from and her family's from there. And clearly Siler City was unable to provide water to Wolfspeed. We could. Her family in Siler City, every time I go up there, they complain about the water. That's what they want to talk about. And every time they come to Asheboro, they talk about how good the water is at our house. You can go to Siler City up in that neighborhood where my wife's from, Aunt Bee's neighborhood, that's where it is. They keep the hydrants running just about all the time to keep things flushed out because their water quality is so poor. I don't know what they pay, and maybe you look that up because that's the nearest.
Give me a minute and I'll get you an answer.
Municipality to us. But the quality that we get here for what we pay, and people say, well, and I tell them what our bills are, and they don't think that's outrageous. And I say, that is an area where we can make money. We can't make money in anything else, but when you look at what we bill and what we collect over the year, we don't make any money on water. And maybe we're not supposed to, but we at least got to make enough to maintain our system and grow our system, because everybody, if Darrell was here, he would tell you, this whole county is gonna be growing. And we're kind of we're becoming more of a regional system, and we're gonna be responsible for helping to grow this region. And if we don't have the adequate facilities, and if $5 is gonna make or break somebody, it's gonna hurt me, it's gonna hurt everybody else. Nobody likes to get a bigger bill. But at some point, I know Walker and I have talked years ago about, at some point, we're gonna have to have some sort of, what's the word, an election,
Bond
a
referendum.
bond referendum to do this sort of thing. So at some point, it's either gonna be $5 today, or it's gonna be whatever the bond referendum allows you to get later. Yeah, so,
If you don't have decent water, you'll pay just about anything
You will.
for it.
You will. So, I don't know if he's looking up Siler City, but anyway, I just know not that far down the road, they're not happy with what they have. And I think it's because they didn't have the vision years ago to provide for their needs. And we need to have vision today to provide for 20 years down the road. And $5 won't get us there, but it's a start.
One of the things that I've been fond of saying in my forever lifetime experience here at the city is that you'll pay about anything for water if you don't have water. But it's
60% more than ours.
Really?
I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
I'll answer his question. Eddie, it's about, just back of the napkin, it's more than 60% higher than ours. So,
60% higher.
combined bill water, so. Yeah.
And they didn't have the capacity to make
Yeah.
the water for Wolfspeed.
Yeah.
They kept saying they would provide water to Wolfspeed, but then when they found out how much water Wolfspeed wanted, they said, oops. So they don't make that kind of volume.
They have a constant stream running up on the hill.
Let me, it's my understanding, and, if we adopt everything that's in the budget, the water bill's going up $17 a month for everybody. If we adopt everything in there. My point was, let's adopt part of it now and institute it later and gradually work up there instead of impacting it. I mean, there's folks on fixed incomes, there's folks on, there's young folks that are probably strapped with, everything that's going on. I'm not saying we're not gonna get there and we're gonna need it. I'm just saying, let's don't do it all right this minute. Let's do a partial of it.
I think everybody here agrees with you. I think Donald is prepared for that, or he not?
Yeah, I think we can do an incremental, we would need a motion to bring you the schedule of fees with an implementation schedule over time. Jeff, you want to?
That'll be so moved.
Correct my suggestion?
It's a good suggestion that if you're agreeable with it, just to let us get a full calculation with the manager and finance director's guidance based on your input, and at your next meeting, the fee schedule can be brought to you with the implementation dates, if that's what you
How will
would
that
like.
affect the adoption of
So
the budget, though?
you would make a motion to adopt the budget as presented with the caveat that the water and sewer rate will be brought to you with the new schedule of fees at the July meeting for progressive implementation schedule.
That won't hamper adopting the budget by June 30th?
No, sir.
Okay.
That would eliminate the leachate rate today?
Correct, yeah, and I think I think you have, not today, but it would be when we implement that. We do
The whole
that.
fee schedule at the same time? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I would make that motion. That'll work.
We have a motion by Mr. Bell. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Burks. Discussion.
I'm good.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank y'all.
Good work on the budget.
Yes, thank you.
I know it's particularly tough to come to a new job in a county that you don't know, in a city that you don't know more than 6 or 7, 8 people, and come up with a budget that those 6 or 7 or 8 people are gonna look favorably upon.
And then work with 30 more that all want 400% of what you got.
So,
It's fair.
you've done a good job, and, that's why we hired you, pal.
Did I ever tell you what the motto of Caldwell County was, where I came from? Did I ever tell you what it was? I said, we like it rough.
All right, well, it took us a while to get there, but now, council, you have in front of you the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that you would like to remove for individual discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I apologize for interfering, but if you don't mind, to follow up on what just happened, item 8K is approval of an ordinance amending the Code of Asheboro to reflect certain rate fee changes that will occur on or after July 1, 2025. I would ask that that be withdrawn with your permission, simply because that's the ordinance that contains changes in the code book for the water and sewer rates. That can come back to you. It doesn't have to be continued or anything. Just withdraw it. It will be brought back based on your previous direction with the motion for the budget at the July meeting to implement those fees according to what you just said.
A.
8K.
K is
A is in King.
That wouldn't make any, okay, I see it here.
And then, unrelated to that, I'd also ask, and this is purely because of me having other issues to deal with during the time period, 8S, as in Sam, that's the ordinance over the intersections, that will come back to you, just withdraw it, that'll come back to you at the next meeting when it can be properly drafted.
We still have flashing lights?
For a month, until you get a chance to vote on it.
Move the signal over to Randolph.
I can't, that's up beyond the scope of what I can do right now.
May I also suggest that we discuss M just as a matter of reading it in a minute? And cover that with the employees, since that impacts so many of your staff. And that'd be a quick read-through comment. Y'all have heard it already before, but I think.
So withdraw that from the
No,
consent
not
agenda?
withdraw, but just to,
Pull it
just
out.
to read it into the minutes.
8K and 8S will be the two that are being asked to be withdrawn.
And then M, we do a read-through. And there's, HR Director Doug Kemp's here if there's any questions between he and I, we can answer them. But I think it's important for staff.
Based on that, Mayor, I will move that we approve the consent agenda as presented, but withdraw item K and item S, and have a read-through of item M. And also special congratulations to Captain Robert King upon his retirement from the Asheboro Fire and Rescue Department.
You got a motion?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bell. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries with the exception of the 3 that were mention has been removed, or two removed.
Mayor, if I may, I'll address item M if you're ready.
You go right ahead. You handle mine.
Mayor and council, we discussed some of these at the budget workshop that I would like to do as a part of the budget process, but I think it's important to note it for our employees and staff. Article 2, addressing police officer trainee and fire recruit program. This is, as you know, it's getting harder and harder to recruit emergency services personnel. This allows us to bring qualified individuals to be credentialed and work through the process, whether it's through BLET or firefighters, beginning firefighters program, and allow us to bring them in as staff and build them up. And so that's the change there. Next, you'll see on Exhibit 2, leaves of absence, just clarifying our adverse weather emergency closing and operations policy. All it is a wording change to make sure that we know that we can adjust the schedule as needed and do what we need to do during emergency closings. We rarely have those, and I hope we have none, but we got to be ready for it. And how we activate and notify employees, just a definition change in there on the next page. But more importantly, if you can go over to item L, which starts with, that's very important for emergency services. So if we have a declared state of emergency by the city and then therefore by the county and then by the state, and it's severe enough such as a inland hurricane like Helene, and we get a presidential declaration, the staff time is only limited to overtime. But if you have it in your ordinance, in your personnel ordinance, long before the event happens, you can get reimbursement toward the end of that disaster recovery. It may be 3 years down the road, it may be 5 years down the road, but administrative staff time such as the finance director or the city attorney or myself or any of us that are working in that disaster for days on end for the months and years to come in recovery, there's no compensation. But if you have it as part of your policy, it's called Category Z, you can get reimbursed for our time. And we have to keep a log to say, I worked for 2 hours this day on grant applications for hazard mitigation for recovering from an ice storm, right? So it just allows you the flexibility and will save the taxpayers here some money. Now, maybe years before we get that money, but it allows you to be in a position to apply for it. If you don't have that in there, you can't even apply. And I've been the beneficiary of that on too many disasters. Section 11, I think, is really important to expand our parental leave program. As we know, we're a family-oriented community. We're a employee-oriented organization. We lean into that. And the big problem we have in our society today is inflation. Well, the reason we have inflation is because we have too many people retiring and then leaving this plane of existence. We don't have enough children that were born 30 years ago because we made it expensive to have kids, right? What this does is allow a family, if they become pregnant or they adopt or they become a foster parent, to have paid leave off. Our state already does this for state employees. All we're doing is complying with is already done for other civil servants in the state. And it would give them, and they have to notify us, they just can't say, hey, guess what, I'm not coming back to work. They can schedule with us just like any other paid leave to have a month off to get their family started. So I think it's a great thing. I hope we use it. I hope our staff gets to use it. Now, I tell everybody, and I say this jokingly, but I'm also half serious. You tell your spouse when you're pregnant, the second person you tell is your grandparents, the third person you tell is us. So we can schedule to cover you when you're gone. We need to be on that list. We need to know long before the baby's born because that work still has to get done. And we've got to figure out how we're going to do that when somebody's off for a month after having a child. So we want to encourage families. Also, in here, and it has to be, you have to be with us, and you also have to use your FMLA. So it's not, it follows the same policy of the laws of the state of North Carolina. We did do an amendment to leave without pay, and then we added a tuition reimbursement program. We invest in our employees, and one of the things I'd like to do is have a contract with employees if they want to go get their degrees. If you're here and you're a firefighter, a lot of times they come straight out of high school to us with basic firefighter training, but they want to go and get their associates. Well, here's a way you can do that. You can go on and get up to $2,500 per semester reimbursement. You can't walk in here on August the 5th and class starts on August the 8th and say, hey, I'm going to college. Doesn't work that way. The sooner we know, the better. You have to let us know at budget time so we can plan for you, and because that comes out of the department's travel training budgets, that you want to apply and you want to go to Randolph, or you want to go to UNC Charlotte, or UNC Greensboro, or any of our other major universities, and you want to get your degree. If you earn a 2-year degree, then you sign a contract that says you're going to work here for another 2 years. You have to work this off. It is not free money, but it's really, really, really low interest money. The other thing is that if you apply, you get accepted, you have to pay the tuition, and then it's a reimbursement at the end of the semester, and you must pass. You have to have a passing grade. We don't want C's. I want to see, I want some B student employees. I don't want A student employees, because that means you have no life. I want B student employees. That's a good joke, Walker. You missed it.
I don't know, my son made it a credo, C's get degrees.
So, but now, if you go, yeah, if you go to graduate,
From a long line.
if you go to graduate school, you want to get your master's in public administration, or whatever it may be, you do have to have a passing grade for your graduate degree. And what's a passing grade for graduate school, young man? 3.7? Yeah. 3.75? 3.5. Oh, man, that's low. That's that Chapel Hill man.
It's if you average it out, because it's a pass-fail grade.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we didn't have pass-fail at App State, man. I don't know about y'all. This is our new intern, Nate Marsh. He's just joined us today, so he has to have this internship to graduate from the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, with a master's in public policy. So if you need your dry cleaning, you need your car washed, he has to have it to graduate. He's already great. He's been here all day. We're glad to have him.
We got a lot of advice about policy you can take back to Chapel Hill.
You can have 2 hours off tomorrow afternoon to watch the games.
The other provision is if you're fortunate enough to get a grant or a scholarship or a Pell Grant, something like that, and your fee is $2,500 and you get a Pell Grant, say the amount of $1,000, and so your payment is $1,500, we only pay the $1,500. We're not paying the full amount. So, and I think that's a great thing. I had, I think, 12 employees at one time at Caldwell County, and they really enjoyed it and going to get their advanced degrees, and it's powerful. Now, if you want to go get your degree in string theory, I don't know how that's going to help the city. You may make a logical argument to me, but if you're getting a degree in string theory, you're smarter than I am anyway. So, but if it's something that helps advance the city, that's what we're all about. And I'll try to answer any questions you may have. But thank y'all for the opportunity to add these benefits to our staff.
These are great additions that are gonna help with retention and hiring, for sure.
I think so.
Is that the conclusion of the?
Yes, sir.
We just need a separate motion to approve that, since it was pulled out to talk about.
I'll entertain a separate motion.
I move we approve item M on the consent agenda as presented by.
Motion to approve item M.
Yes.
Second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Heath. Just all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Discussion? A little bit late. All opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, everyone. This is a public hearing for a general rezoning concerning property located at 619 Albemarle Road with one parcel identification number. The request is to rezone the property from a split zoning, which is R7.5 medium density residential and B2 general commercial, to B2 on the entire parcel. The applicant in this case is Mr. Thomas Cochran, representing the Bible Baptist Church of Asheboro Incorporated, who is also the property owner. And there is no rezoning history on the property. Tax records indicate that the current structure was built in 1953. that is classified for religious worship. The zoning ordinance classifies the current use as a non-commercial place of assembly or a church. And I will point out that the notice was mailed by the applicant within the time required by the zoning ordinance. Staff mailed those notices. The property has also been posted with a sign on both Walker Avenue and along Albemarle Road, and notice was published as required. The property is just a little over 2/3 of an acre out of a parcel that's just under 1 acre. So a portion of this property is already Zone B2, as I mentioned. This is within Tier 3 of the Center City planning area. In terms of road classification, both Albemarle Road and West Walker Avenue are minor thoroughfares. Albemarle Road is maintained by NCDOT. West Walker Avenue is a city-maintained roadway. We do have the data on the traffic volumes, and at least along Albemarle Road, the current capacity, or the current vehicles per day is under the capacity that the road is built for. So if we look at the very first map, you'll see the subject property is A1. That's highlighted in blue right in the center of the property. A2 is the portion of the property that is currently zoned B2, and that is along West Walker Avenue, along that entire frontage. And if you look at the surrounding zoning, all of the red that you see is also B2, so you do see that is fairly consistent in the area. Parcels E and F have a neighborhood B1 commercial zoning, and then you have the yellow that's further to the north, that's residential zoning and land uses. The yellow property, if you go just to the southwest along Albemarle Road, that is the city cemetery, that large tract there. The purple area is zoned industrial. That is part of the Energizer facility. So this shows you that this is within the Center City planning area on this side of Albemarle Road, and that's distinguished by regulating the intensity of development by having a maximum of 55% of the land area that can be built upon, and having a height limit of 35 feet. In terms of topography, the property is fairly level. We do have water that runs along both street frontages, and then there is sewer accessible to the site on the southern side of the property, where there is a sewer easement that would have to be worked around in terms of any development on that side of the property. The aerial map just shows you some of the surrounding land uses that I mentioned, with the South Asheboro Middle School immediately to the south. There you also see the cemetery, Energizer to the west, and the other residential and commercial uses that are in the area. This shows you a little bit more of a two-dimensional view and the portion of the property that is currently zoned R75 residential. And so you see the structure on the property as well, and the adjoining land uses. This is, if you're looking at the property from West Walker Avenue, this is looking from Albemarle Road into the property. Then as you look to the southwest along Albemarle Road, this is headed toward the interstate. The property would be on the left-hand side, kind of back behind the photo here. This is looking northeast on Albemarle Road. This is from the intersection of West Walker Avenue. This is looking northwest on Walker Avenue. The property is on your left. This is looking up towards Albemarle Road. And then this is looking southeast on West Walker Avenue. Here you have the South Asheboro Middle School on your right. So you have the B2 general ordinance description there on the screen and in your packets. I covered those other items previously. The proposed land use map designates the property as part of the Town Activity Center. It is in the city limits, so it is part of the primary growth area and within the central area that's designated on the land development plan. So in total, we have 6 goals and policies that staff believed were supporting the request, none that were particularly negative toward the request. So overall, our consistency statement is that considering that the entire property is part of that town activity center, and that intends to create a mixture of uses, including commercial, office, institutional, entertainment, and open spaces, plus residential uses and housing types. And then the central small area plan talks about one of the goals being to allow some expansion of commercial activity along minor thoroughfares, and we have two in this particular case. We also believe the map amendment is reasonable given the mixture of land uses where you have commercial, institutional, even some industrial, which are more intense than the request. And having the property be within one zoning district, and given the non-residential history of the property, staff believed that the request was reasonable. The planning board also reviewed the request and along with staff recommended approval of the request. So again, as I mentioned, this is a general district request, so there is no specific use being considered tonight. And I know the applicant's representative is here as well, but I'll take any questions if there are any at this time.
I just think it's important to note that the adjoining R7 district is the cemetery.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Not really residential, well, permanent residential, I guess.
That's correct, definitely correct there, so that's.
Any questions of Mr. Evans? Council?
Mayor, I move we approve the request and the consistency statement provided by staff.
A motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Burks is the second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries. Mr. Sermon, are you up next?
I believe so,
Well, that really wasn't a fair question, because my paper says you're up next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I come here tonight to talk to you about two different things. In your package, you should have an ordinance that has two exhibits attached to it. The first one is to amend the Cultural and Recreation Services Schedule of Deposits and Fees. As you know, that is part of the Code of Asheboro, so it has to be handled by ordinance. And this is the time of year with the budget that we actually go and look at those and do any increases or, in some cases, decreases. But that's the first thing I'd like to talk about first. As you'll notice, we're only requesting fees for ball field rentals, baseball field rentals, and the memberships at the golf course to be increased. The maintenance costs for those two items has increased significantly, especially at the golf course. And to help cover those increases, we were asking for a small increase in their membership fees at the golf course. We all are also asking for a new rate to be added to the golf course. We're getting a lot of requests from nonprofit organizations wanting to have fundraising tournaments at the golf course. They're constantly asking for a discounted rate. A lot of them are asking for it to be waived altogether. That's just not possible, unless you all feel that it is, but we don't, as the staff, agree that it is. We have done research. Other courses do offer a small discount, anywhere from $2 to $5 a round. And that's what ours comes out to be at the $18 level. It's $4 less than the inside city rate and about $7 less than the non-city rate. So we're suggesting that for the golf course.
What's the usage like out at the golf course, Jonathan?
Right now, it's up. It's been up since COVID.
Okay.
And we're expecting it, if not plateau, to continue increasing.
Okay.
That's what our numbers are showing, that it's still going
Okay.
up. Yep.
Thank you.
Jonathan, it might be helpful to share with them how you described to me about we have people that buy seasonal memberships or year-long memberships, and if they play so many rounds a week, they basically have played through the advantage of the seasonal membership.
Yes, they're greatly outpacing their membership rate. We have some gentlemen that, and I don't want to single out the seniors, but they do have a seniors men's league that plays on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and Saturday mornings. So they could play 4 days a week. But even if they play twice a week for 9 months out of the year, they would get benefit from the membership. If they're playing more than 2 times, we're actually paying them to go play golf.
Are they taking up, start times that other people could be?
The only one that really affects us is the Saturday morning group. It's not awful, but they do sometimes encroach on people wanting to. You know, the people that work during the week, that have to play on the weekends, it is hurting that a little bit, but we do tee times on the weekends as well, so it's not a huge problem.
How big a group are we talking about in terms of, talking about 2 or 3, 4?
For a tournament?
No, I'm talking about for these guys that are playing the 3 or 4 times a week. Talking about on Saturday, I'm thinking about Saturday morning, if you got 4.
Oh, yeah, it's like 30 guys at the most sometimes.
30? Okay.
Yeah.
That's a fair amount.
Now, during the week, the group is up to 50, yeah.
Yeah.
But they tie up the morning pretty good. But the way I look at it, the course is being used.
Yeah.
And they are paying something. So we are generating revenue.
Sure.
It's just not enough.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not them. Oh, we priced it.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
I can't play 4 times a week.
But that takes care of, if there's no more questions on that, that's Exhibit 1. Both of these things are on the same ordinance, so I'm not gonna ask for y'all to do anything with that one yet until we talk about the second one. The second one's actually the big one. As you know, I'm sure you've gotten multiple calls on the dog park at the Sportsplex. The dog park. In order to get it open, which is not quite there yet, we're still waiting for the fence company to come back and finish. It's not totally enclosed. But we do have to get our rules set up and then posted in order to be able to open. So that's what this is. This is, the second exhibit covers that, which I've got a few notes here, just to give you some highlights. The facility itself, when it is finished, will have 3 separate play areas. One for smaller dogs, one for larger dogs, and a section that we're calling a relief area. If you've been out there, if you've noticed, there's 3 distinct areas. What that relief area is if we have to do maintenance on a section, or if we get a lot of rain and one section's too muddy, we have the ability to move either the large or the small to that relief area so that both size animals can still participate on a daily basis. We're never closed, basically, is what the theory is there. The amenities that it will have is fenced and secured areas, paved entrances, there'll be seating for the handlers, water stations, and pet waste stations, multiple pet waste stations. Rules and regulation development, the staff researched rules and regulations from multiple multiple dog parks to formulate this, and we actually toured dog parks to see how those rules actually work in Archdale, Cary, Greensboro, and High Point. They range anywhere from Archdale being a just bring your dog, it's at your own risk, all the way up to Cary that require you to register your dog, pay a fee, and get a code to punch in to a code at the fence to let you into the dog park. So you've got the whole gambit. We've collected all that information to form our rules, like I said. And our rules cover, which is the entire highlighted area of 19.08, hours of operation, the use of the park. We're starting with the use it at your own risk level. Right now, we don't have the staff or the amount of time, we don't think, to actually register each dog, make sure each dog's registered, and just to keep that, we feel like we're going to get overwhelmed. So we're suggesting to start with to see how it goes, use the park at your own risk. Handler responsibilities, it covers handler's responsibilities of you're responsible for yourself and your dog's actions. It does limit the number of dogs a handler can bring into the park at one time. The handler's age restrictions, we're looking at keeping a handler 18 years of age or older, and if you're under 10, not to be in the dog park at all. And the reason behind that is young children like to play, dogs like to play, but they don't always play well together. Leashing requirements, once you're in the section, they do have to be unleashed, but the handler has to keep the leash in their hands so they can handle any problems with their animal if they should appear. We ask that they remove and dispose of waste, repair any holes the animals might dig, and state law does require that any handler whose dog bites another dog or a human must report those as they happen to animal control. And then, of course, staff at the sportsplex as well. Dog restrictions, they must have their vaccinations and wear the ID tag. If they're sick, under 4 months of age, or female dogs in heat, they are prohibited from the dog park. Any dog with a history of aggressive behavior is prohibited. And then any dog showing signs of aggression, the handler must remove the animal from the park at that time. So those are the highlights. If you have specific questions about our rules as proposed, I'll be happy to answer them.
Just had one question
Yes,
about
sir.
the leash. I understand you don't want to leash them to the fence or to a tree or something.
Right.
But you can't walk your own dog on the leash while inside the park.
That may be something we have to look at. Most do not allow that once you go through. And once you keep the leash in your hand, some parks actually, like High Point, they would clip them on the fence as you go in. But it's harder to, if your dog does get aggressive, to go get it off the fence and then go get your dog. But none of them actually addressed wanting to be able to walk your dog on the leash.
Right.
I guess our thinking is you could do that in the rest of the park.
Okay.
The dog park, the fenced-in area is actually for the running, playing freely of the animal.
Understandable. So they can still walk.
Oh, yes.
Around the walking
Oh, yes.
neighborhood.
Mhm. Yep.
There are many people who walk their dog out there now.
Yes, there are.
And obviously, we can adjust these if we need to,
We
if
can.
some issue
This is a starting point. If we see issues arising, we'll address them and come back to you as needed to change the
Okay.
rules. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Well, if not, staff recommends that you adopt the ordinance by reference.
Questions?
Mayor, I move we adopt the ordinance amending the Cultural and Recreation Services schedule, no deposit fees, et cetera, by reference.
We have a motion by Mr. Bell to adopt by reference. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Heath. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Sherman. Ms. Reeves, you want to talk to us about vehicle financing with Pinnacle Bank?
Yes, Mayor, City Council, if you recall, at the beginning of the operating year, in the 24-25 budget, a resolution was passed that was drafted by the city attorney that authorized us to go ahead and purchase vehicles throughout the year and then apply for financing and reimburse ourselves from financing proceeds. This is the time of the year that we go out and bid for financing. We had 4 returns bids from financial institutions. The lowest responsive bid was Pinnacle Bank at 3.64% for 59 months. The amount of financing total between the water and sewer fund is $1,803,728. This is the resolution approving the installment financing, and I recommend adoption by reference.
Do we have that?
Yes, it looks like this. It doesn't have resolution up at the top
She's
of
here.
it, but
Yes, it looks, with
It
your
got
permission,
handed
Mr.
out.
Mayor, it does look odd because
It
we
looks a
have
little
to
different.
certify that that was exactly how it appeared in front of you. And also with your permission, Mr. Mayor, there's a provision in the ultimate closing documents that said it was introduced and read by title, so I'll do that for you if you don't mind, on the title of the resolution. There's a resolution approving an installment financing and security agreement to finance motor vehicles and providing for certain other related matters. And what is in front of you is exactly what will be turned in the transcript at the closing on the installment financing. and I appreciate your indulgence. Just need to get it in for the record.
Questions?
Mayor, I'll move that we approve this resolution approving an installment financing and security agreement to finance motor vehicles and providing for certain other related matters by reference.
Have a motion by Ms. Heath. That was a motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Swears. Well, I didn't think you were down there.
I'm here. I've been here the whole time, Mayor. Sometimes you keep that head out of the line of fire. No.
Discussion?
Keep your head down.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Mr. Leonard, I think you've got something to tell us about Norfolk Southern Railway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You have in your packets a letter from Rail Pros, which is a division of Norfolk Southern, our consultant, for Norfolk Southern Railway Company. And you have an agreement between the City of Asheboro and Norfolk Southern for a proposed installation of an 8-inch DIP sanitary sewer line in a 16-inch steel casing on Pineview Street. This is for the NCDOT project 5711, and staff recommends approval of this agreement.
Are there any questions for Mr. Leonard regarding this matter? Any agreement with the railroad is always good to have an agreement.
You go with him.
If not,
Mr. Mayor, Tim, I move we approve the request for the agreement with Norfolk Southern.
I have a motion from Mr. Bell. Do I have a second? Second, Mr. Burks. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I look forward to getting that work accomplished. Thank you. Michael Rooney. You have a lot to tell us about. It usually involves many commas.
That's right.
Lots of comments, yes. Okay, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. I've got two items. 13A is first, and it's request approval for the funding for the Lake Lucas Dam intake replacement project. Little history here, House Bill 259, State Law 2023-134, allocated to the City of Asheboro $4,170,500, and that was to be used for a water or wastewater infrastructure project. We've been working on this for a while and finally received a letter of intent to fund from Division of Water Infrastructure May 13th of this year. And on that same day, because we were working things out, we received the funding offer. A copy of both of those letters are in your agenda packets. Note that the allocation was for $4.107,943 million. You also have a resolution in your packet. To receive those funds, you have to actually approve receiving those funds. And that's why I'm here tonight, is to ask you to approve that. You will see that the resolution in your packet has a number of $4,107,943. $107,943,000. Let's start over. $4,107,943. And that reason is because DWI is allowed to charge an administrative fee to manage this money for this project. Typically, when we apply for SRF money or CDBG money, they would charge us a closing cost. So in lieu of the closing cost that we would pay out of pocket, they're actually just kind of skimming this off the top of what the state allocated. So that's the difference in fund, is that 1.5%. So that is what you are going to approve tonight, is that number. Any questions?
Council, if you would, thank the General Assembly for making sure this funding did not get lost or rolled into other funding and sent to the western part of the state.
Correct.
Representative Biggs made sure to protect this funding.
That was a monumental task too. It's not lightweight service we're getting. But what we need is a motion to be willing to accept the money, and I will add, should we not be, I would be willing to accept. We'll entertain a motion for the city to accept this money.
Approved. Okay.
So moved by everyone. Do I have a second?
I just have one question.
Yes,
And I
please.
missed part about the administrative fees. I was trying
Yes.
to do some math. So
Okay.
the difference between 14,170,500 and 41,07,943 is for those
Yes, it is about 63. I wrote it down somewhere. 62,557. Yeah.
Okay.
And that is a 1.5% administration fee.
Okay. That's,
Yes.
I want to do the math right.
Okay.
A hefty fee, but quite.
Well, before last year, it was a 3% fee, so we got half, we got reduced by half, so.
You gotta pay the pocket.
Mhm.
And a second? I'll second it. Second, Mr. Burks. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I can't imagine there's a no.
And
Along there.
thank you for the persistence
Just-
in continuing to apply and apply and apply.
And
And apply.
as, just a note, we had a kickoff meeting for the project today with the engineers, so we're proceeding. Okay.
That was a little presumptuous, don't you think?
Well, believe it or not, we thought we had the funding a year ago, and we had a kickoff meeting in May of last year too, but
So we're gonna do the design stage this year, right?
we are in design stage.
And
The-
next year, we will start the actual.
You can see the state's given us a pretty tight implementation schedule on page 2. That's gonna be really tough to meet. The engineer today, it didn't match their schedule, but they're gonna try to work to get to there, so we'll see. Okay. Okay, moving on to item 13B. I'm here to update you on the Wolf Speed project. And
Hurry.
we're gonna complete the project. Yes, so just to give you the history of where we are, we are currently working under GMP number 3. And just to remind you that the design build project is broken into 2 phases. Phase 1 is everything pre-construction, all the planning that goes into it, and it consists of 75% design. As we're finishing up the phase 1, we started the phase 2, which is the construction side. So we did phase 1, you approved that contract just by itself. Then we went to GMP 1, which allowed us to start buying materials for the first section, which is section 4. Then you approved GMP 2, which included getting the materials for sections 2 and 3 and constructing section 4. And then the last time in March, you approved GMP 3, which was getting the final design done and engineering services during construction for sections 3 and 4 and approving construction of section 3, which is now underway. And tonight I'm here to present you GMP 4, which is final design for everything and engineering services during construction for section 2 and then project reconciliation. And I have to explain, the project reconciliation is basically the risk register or the contingency is what we refer to it in general contracting or general construction. But here it's called a risk register. So those numbers are there so far to this point. We are to a total contract value, if you approve GMP 4, of $51,746,385.99. And that has everything included. And see there, that's an allowance for sections 2, 3, and 4 of the risk register of $3.6 million. So that is just a contingency. So hopefully some of that money won't be spent. But once again, it's state money. We're not on the dime for it. So I'm glad to answer any questions you may have regarding
Can you just give us briefly, these sections?
Yes,
where they're
okay, I'll be
located?
glad to do that. So section 1, which now is omitted from the project because the funding isn't there. Because remember, we were allocated $55 million. We are going to, if you approve it tonight, get to $51 million plus. So we can't finish that section for $4 million. There's just not funds there to do it. But section 1 was extending a water main in our system parallel to our existing lines from Meadowbrook Road down Presnell Street to the end of our existing system to have 2 feeds to feed the large line that needs to go to Wolf Speed.
That's 1.
That's 1.
Gotcha.
Section 2 begins at the end of our system past Blue Mist. And it went all the way to the river crossing in Ramsor. Okay. Section 3 began at Deep River and went all the way to Eastern Randolph High School. Okay. And section 4 is Eastern Randolph High School connecting to the water line that goes to Wolf Speed where it meets with Siler City's line. Okay, Section 4 is under construction. I didn't get an update, but the last time I spoke to them, they were 80% plus done. Section 3 is the section that's in town. It's much slower. They're gonna be moving a lot slower there. And they've had some hiccups. We're still acquiring some easements there. We're still working on easements in Section 2, but we'll be prepared to do construction on most of it. A few easements to work out.
Section 3 will be the last thing we do, probably.
Yes, no, Section 3 is underway. Section 2 is the one that we're going to approve construction
Section
tonight.
1 will be the last thing.
The last thing,
Okay.
and we're gonna have to
Need additional
request more funding for that.
I got you, okay.
Any further questions?
Nope. So
Is there action you're asking us?
my action is to approve the city manager to approve GMP 4, so we can finish this job.
We'll entertain a motion to authorize the city manager to pursue the execution of this contract.
I will move that we authorize city manager to execute GMP 4.
Motion, Mr. Bell, second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Heath. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you for that update. And maybe, that new, AI center, in Richmond County down there needs a chip or two or something.
Maybe.
Two, yeah.
Send them on down there or something. That's quite an announcement there. I tell you, Central North Carolina is getting quite the eye on it. Is there another slide that has the upcoming events on it?
There we go.
There we go. Okay, you see in front of you, once again, take pictures of this, note that, we have a safety awards luncheon and banquet. It's always a good thing for the city to enjoy that and maintain our excellent workers' comp rate. We've had an update previously on the Juneteenth celebrations. We have Bluegrass, Girl Scouts, and International Tribute to Coldplay. And we will be closed July 4th. So we'll have a late meeting. It's one of our larger gaps between meetings. But we do have the 30th.
30th, we have
Workshops.
council
Have you heard
briefing.
from everyone?
I have.
Took a time, no quorum problems or?
Not yet. Y'all pretty easy to deal with.
Well, I think we've had at the risk of losing maybe a world record, I'm still gonna go down and ask Mr. Trogdon, if you'd like to, anything you'd like to share with us?
Nothing in particular. I appreciate all the work the staff put in with the budget. And Donald, I appreciate you getting acclimated pretty quick, and I think it was an impressive job of what you did. And, I feel good about the budget, so I think going forward, we'll have a good year.
Thanks, Bill?
I don't have anything.
Eddie?
To reiterate, thanks staff and city manager on a great job on the budget. Keeping Pat Simmons in our prayers. I remember one time at a zoo function and she was trying to identify people and she says something, "Where's Eddie?" And she goes, "Oh, there's Eddie." We all love Eddie. Well, and sometimes when you're sitting up here, you don't feel the love sometimes. So, but Pat has a way of making you feel loved, and we love Pat. And anyway, thankful that we're able to do something for it this time.
Yeah, please, this is not a good situation. Just keep her in your prayers. Clark?
We wish all you fathers, and myself included, happy Father's Day. And it really doesn't have anything to do with our business, but I hear a lot of it. I had 5 inquiries yesterday and today about the text from DMV and your fees. They are not real. It's a scam, it's spam. And
It's government the country code.
yeah.
We're 63.
Ignore them, but I do appreciate all the hard work that went into the budget, and I think it's worthwhile. Thank you, Donna, and staff, department heads, and all. Thank you.
Charlie?
And I think Donald and Alicia are doing a great job in getting the word out to the public. I see things posted, and I appreciate that. I think the general public, I believe, will appreciate that. Bill, you talking about letting people know what it costs, that's what, she's doing a great job with that. I think she is well earning her money.
I'd like to share that credit to Trevor. He stays on that, and he and Alyssa are constantly coming up with ideas and trying to make sure that everybody understands. I can't take any credit for that. They just say, hey, what do you think? I'm like, that's good.
And I don't know if y'all two do the Facebook thing for the police department, or if that's separate. Okay, well, pass along the kudos to that too. Again, it reiterates public information and.
We would not claim that.
Oh, well. I think there's a lot of levity in it, and so, yeah, kudos to whoever, Captain Hill.
Ms. Heath?
I'll just echo the compliments on the budget process and the communication efforts, and it's not a one-shot communication. We're gonna be continuing to communicate over weeks and months, more information. Also want to give kudos to Public Works and the Police Department and Fire and Rescue. It's been a really busy week. The bridge situation was obviously a big deal. So thanks to all of them, and just appreciate staff for everything they do every day.
Thank you. I would mention for our intern, please take good notes, take pictures. When you get back to school, your stories will likely not match up with everyone's. As you go through your career, I'm gonna assure you, the tales you tell about the camaraderie and unified effort in Asheboro are unique.
Amen.
This is probably a poor experience for you.
But let me say one thing. Be in prayer for the city of Hickory. They lost a firefighter late last night, line of duty death, young man, and prayers for Joanne Cochran and her family. And I'll describe more later.
You lost a fire.
I say that to say thank you for the collaborative work on the budget. I really love the graphics this year. I like the dots. Oh. They look great. But thank y'all very much. I appreciate everyone being clear and concise tonight, and we will now stand adjourned.
Go Heels.
Oh, got it, okay.